City Manager Bennett? Okay. Ready, sir?
Good.
The meeting of the Preservation Board is now in order. I'm going to call a roll to establish who is here. Note for our attorney, a quorum of this board is 5 present. For that matter, passage of a motion affirmatively requires at least 4 of 7 votes, 5 of 8 votes, or 5 of 9 votes. Okay, I am present. Commissioner Hamilton, are you here?
I'm here.
Commissioner Hamilton, are you here? Commissioner Colleen, are you here?
Present.
Alderman Narayan, are you here?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson, are you here?
Here.
Commissioner Robinson, are you here? We have 5 commissioners present. That constitutes a quorum. Commissioners, has everyone reviewed the agenda proposed for this meeting? And does anyone need to recuse themselves from discussion of any item?
I would like to recuse myself from item B.
And Chairman, I see Max Bimberg in the room there. I'm going to recuse myself on whichever project he's working on.
Project is that?
That'd be Oregon. Item C, thank you.
Okay, commissioners, has anybody read the minutes for September 23rd, 2024, and have a motion pertaining to them?
I move that we approve the minutes from the September 23rd, 2024 open session meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none.
Yeah.
I'll call a roll. Commissioner Hammaker, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Narayan, yes or no?
Yes.
Richardson, yes or no?
Yes.
Callow votes yes, 5 yeses. The minutes are special agenda item.
Really, it's just to verify that we all agreed through the holidays to meet November and for 1 week early. So that would be moving the date of to the 18th of November and the 16th of December. Everybody seem okay with that? Just want to verify, except for Alderman Narayan didn't respond. Everybody else was okay with that date, those new dates for the
Alderman Ryan is present.
Alderman Narayan. Did you hear that by chance?
Yes. No, that should work for me. Thank you.
Excellent. That's all I want to talk about.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, commissioners, our first agenda item is 400 Jefferson Drive. What is 400 Jefferson Drive?
This is the Steinberg Pavilion and Rink and surrounding site.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant who is present?
No.
Is there anybody here to speak on that matter? If so, raise your hand. Is there anybody here opposed to the issue? Okay, commissioners, do I hear a motion?
I move that the Preservation Board grant preliminary approval to renovate the Steinberg Pavilion and surrounding site.
So a second,
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a roll. Commissioner Hammaker, do you vote yes or no?
Yeah.
Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Narayan, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, there are 5 yeses. It is approved. Congratulations. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for coming. I know.
Commissioners, we do not currently have a quorum present for agenda item B or C. I'm going to call agenda item B.
D
B.
as in dog.
As in dog.
There, let me get you. Wait. So which second? Let's see, we're here D, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a preliminary review application to review the alterations and new construction proposed for this site at 4490 to 99 Lindell, also known as the Optimist International Club. As many of you board members will probably remember, this is by far the first proposal to reuse this building, which is a difficult concept in its floor plan and its its site arrangement. But having said that, this is a building by Schwartz and Van Hofen, and it was selected as one of the top 25 mid-century modern structures in the survey that our office completed in 2013. So it's an important building, and its preservation is very critical to the Central West End and to the city as a whole. As I said, there were many other proposals for it that were unable to be successful. And so we are hoping that this one is a different thing. But also having said that, I have to say that there are certain elements of the proposal that do not correspond with the Central West End Historic District standards, nor with the preservation review requirements, because this is in a preservation review zone as well. And let's see if I can hit the right button this time. Nope, I never can. This is the location. Now, the building on the right, which is 4400, is the tower, and that was built in 1978 and is not as distinguished as the original building at the corner at 4494. So its demolition is inconsequential. This is the west elevation of the Optimist building, and you can see that its characteristic, really unusual concrete fins are its dominant feature. The proposal for this elevation, however, there'll be some alteration to that facade. This again is the tower. As I said, it's a lesser design and no one's cheering for it. The current building is sheathed in a stone veneer. And as you can see, the ribs are partitioned off individual bays with narrow slot windows. And that's where the main alterations are going to happen, both on the front and on the west facade. This is the front. The stone wall that you see is consistent with the design, and parts of that will be retained in the alterations. I'm not going to dwell on these because the applicant has a presentation, but this is the proposal. It'll be a new tower on the east side of the property and changes to both the front and the west side, which are street elevations. I'm sorry these didn't copy very well, but what's proposed is to remove the wall space between the ribs and to glaze it instead. And that would be on both elevations. And you'll see something, you see it a little bit better now. That's an existing bay on the left, and that's the proposal with glazing and muttons on the right. So the staff is recommending denial because it really has to be under the standards as they are now. But we are supporting it as a critical means of saving this very important building. So it's a quasi denial. Questions?
And you go through the legislation.
I'm sorry,
Will you go through the legislation
in what way exactly?
and comply, doesn't comply?
Okay. Okay, it's located in a preservation review district. The architectural quality is high merit. Its condition appears to be sound under the definition of the ordinance. The neighborhood impact, this is one of the strongest sites in the city, and it has many examples of mid-century modern with which this building is compatible. Reuse potential, however, is not high, given the unusual conditions of the building itself. Just built as a fraternity organization. The owner has said that there is some ongoing maintenance problems with the building, but the site holds a corner and is an important element of the urban design of Lindell. And I'd already mentioned that it's an important mid-century modern design. So the introduction of glazing in between the bays will have some negative impact on that. And the proposed construction of the tower appears to comply with all the standards for the Central West End and for the Preservation Review District. Anything else?
And my recommendation is,
The recommendation is for denial.
question, Commissioners?
So Dan, you said that the introduction of glazing would have a negative impact.
Yeah.
But during that period, there were scores of buildings being put up with nothing but glazing. Is it just because
It's
different
because of
from
the
original
change
vision?
from the original design of the architects.
Good question. Thanks, Jim.
Wait, before we go, I neglected to mention, if you're in the chat and you want to speak on a certain item, please send a message to the send request to speak here tile with your name and the address of the item you want to speak on. So again, if you want to speak, you're on Zoom, send your name and address to the send request to speak here tile. Thank you.
Okay, let's hear from the applicant.
Just hit the forward button.
Okay. That one? Oh, that one's good. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see most of you again. I don't want to go into great detail over, I think you get a pretty good feel for what it is we're trying to do, but just to hit the highlights. The pavilion, which is what we call the corner building. I felt like I saw its potential when I saw the proposal from 2015. There's a proposal from 2015 that architects in this room worked on that had replaced the gun slit windows and limestone panels with glass. And as we worked through different possibilities of what to do with this property, I feel like a lot of the previous proposals, excluding them, they've just been trying to do too much. They're trying to get too many units, too much parking, too much stuff onto this lot, partly as a reflection of the cost of the property and partly as a reflection of the location. This is a dense location, why not cram it with stuff? But when I saw that glass pavilion design, removing the limestone panels, keeping everything else, the colonnade, the floor slab and roof slab that penetrate the facade, the podium around it. When I saw what that could do, it seemed to me like that's where the opportunity is to do a little bit less, not try to fill the site with development, just to build a rectangular building where the annex is, and then use the historic asset, this pavilion building, as sort of a mid-century modern signature for the property. And so the proposal is to do a hotel. And so we are hoping that an image of this pavilion will be the photo that people see on Expedia or whatever. It'll be part of the design direction for the interior of the building. It's a way to really kind of combine the efficiency of a new structure. For most of the hotel rooms, 115 of the 129 rooms are in the tower.
and yet get the benefit of this mid-century pool asset. And so the main change that we're seeking to make that does not comply or is not eliciting support of the Cultural Resources Office is the removal of that stone facade and its gun-slit windows. We can report that those walls are, even if the building were to be reused and those walls retained, they don't meet modern green sustainability standards. So we'd have to completely rebuild those walls anyway. The windows are single glazed. I believe caulk just holds them into there's held into the stone opening, the masonry opening by caulk. So the wall system would have to be completely redone anyway. And so rather than redoing it in the character in which it's currently presented, which I think was a missed opportunity. In 1961, Schwartz and Van Hoffen could have created a much more iconic building by making it all glass. We want to take the opportunity to do that now. Everything else about our proposal really kind of drives from, once we've made that decision, that that's the direction we want to go, and that it's a hotel, everything else sort of rests on the hotel decision. And so you have the pavilion, and actually the Cultural Resources Office staff asked us to look at some other things. So where that 2015 proposal had done some fritted glass, some different obscurities on the glass to replicate some of the void and solid of the current building. We're simply replicating the pattern. I believe it's a 20 inch, 44 inch, 20 inch, 44 inch between windows now. The window panels are 20, the spaces in between are 44. We're simply proposing to replicate all of that in the glass fenestration pattern, in the mutton pattern. We did get a request to explore opacity, color, things like that, to further enhance, to further echo what was part of the original design. And where we landed is that it's better, purer. The simplest expression is the best expression. One color, two materials, as simple as possible, is closest to what we want to do. And it's closest to giving us the sort of marketing message that we want to have, which is mid-century pool. Moving from that to the rest of the program. Who knows? The rest of the program is that I have a desktop. I don't know how these laptops work. There it is.
It's got minimized.
Yep.
Should be okay.
Yep, we're good. No, it was paused. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, I'll touch nothing else. So everything else that is part of the assemblage of components of our design. No, it's not. It's not working. Is grows out of the hotel decision. So, oh, that's cool. So this is actually another part of the influence. So we're motivated by the 2015 proposal that had all the glass, and we're very excited about this image that I found rummaging around in the archives at the Optimists. This is the purest expression of this design, and I think backfilling what you see here with glass results in a really cool building set up for its next stage of life. So the pavilion, glass and concrete, two colors, the glass color and the concrete color on the raised podium. Then to the east of it, we're proposing a new tower building. It's 5 stick-built floors over 2 poured concrete floors, designed to be as efficient as we can get it. From the street, however, because of how the parking is ramped, the parking ramps up from Lindell. So today, there's a curb cut on Lindell that leads into a door in the front of the building, and the parking goes down from Lindell. We propose to use the same curb cut, put an opening into our building at approximately the same location, but ramp up. And there'll be another ramp down from the alley. So that gets us 2 ramps, but it also gives us space at the front of the second floor for additional rooms. So even though it's technically a 5/2 stick built over concrete, it looks from Lindell like 6/1. So we're getting 6 floors of guest rooms over 1 floor of garage from Lindell. The design is meant to echo the painted concrete of the pavilion, but with sort of a modern take. It's kind of hard to see on the drawing, but where these shapes are sort of cut into the white block, if you imagine sort of this white block that we've cut some fenestration into, there is a dark colored edge, the rind, the architect calls it, that I think is very of the moment. This is a 2024 design. The angle detail on the facade, though, is approximately the same angles as the colonnade around the perimeter of the original building. So I think it does a really nice job of echoing some components of the pavilion, while still being a very today design. The only portion of Jan's report that I wanted to take a little difference with is the subsuming of the historic asset to the to the new building. The existing notch, the notch between the pavilion and the annex today, the one that's there now, is 23.5 feet deep and 11 feet facade to facade. The notch between our building and our tower, between the pavilion and the new tower, is 16 feet front to back and 9 feet 4 facade to facade. So less than 2 feet difference side to side, a few more feet difference front to back. But we expect that anyone moving along the street will perceive these as 2 separate masses, that the dark color around the windows on the new tower will have no corresponding correspondence in the pavilion, and that they will be distinct. So as we work our way around, let's go a little bit further into that just because we might as well. The new tower is an ephes facade. It's ephes because that's an appropriate way to mimic concrete. I've had extensive conversations with different stucco and ephes contractors about trying to get the maximum distance in any one direction without a relief joint, because that tends to be the thing that stands out about some ephes facades. And what we determined is that with a stick-built building, we simply have to have a relief joint at every floor. Wood shrinks. A 5-story stack of wood is going to shrink even more. We have to have a relief joint to deal with that. And so they'll all be white. The relief joints will not have a notch. There'll just be a break in the ephes, and everything will be white. My hope is that it will look as much like that picture as we can. We also, as I said, we talked about all these different applications, and we're currently in Lafayette Square. We're building those stucco buildings that have no relief joints at all. It's this 2-story stucco facade with punched windows and a punched door. We talked about that's all done in hard coat without the polystyrene. And the thing to do, though, is to do what the people who build hotels do. And the people who build hotels know how to work with polystyrene. And so it seems like the safest, most cost-effective, most likely to endure for a long time solution that still matches the look we're going for, which is painted concrete, is an actual ephes, polystyrene ephes system. Then to the front of the building, because it's a hotel, we gotta have a drive up. So we've designed what we think is a very low impact, visually low impact canopy of these very thin aluminum posts. And it's even is intended to be sort of a, I forget what he called it, a tip. You are here. Oh, what kind of truss do you call that?
The diamond truss.
Diamond truss, yeah, so with a diamond truss roof to make it as minimal visual impact that we can. The Cultural Resources Office asked us to explore different coloring of the canopy, and we tried a couple different scenarios, different colors of both the columns and the roof, or just the columns. And we came down on the lowest visual impact is monochrome. Staying with the color of the building is the best way to make this thing blend. Then working our way around, then we also, the height is determined by visibility from inside the building. Because we want to walk into a 2-story space and have activity up above that guests coming in see. We expect a lot of circulation between the first and the second, and a fair amount of activity on the second floor. The roof of the canopy is set at a height to be allowing people inside the building on the second floor to actually see out and not have the canopy block their view of the outdoors. Then working around to the back of the building is an extension of the upper pavilion floor. So right now, the floors penetrate the facade on 3 sides. The colonnade is outset from the facade of the building, and the floors run out to the colonnade. That upper floor, we propose to pull it out all the way to the alley, essentially, on the back of the building. Set back, as you can see, from the facade, so there's no mistaking what's historic and what's not historic. And that would be served as an amenity deck for the hotel, as well as outdoor dining for any food and beverage inside the hotel. We placed a big staircase you see very prominently there. The wall shown, the lava rock wall that's shown there, actually turns at that location. That's proposing to leave the lava rock wall where it is now and erect this staircase going up to the raised terrace behind it. I think that's it. So we've got the pavilion, we got the tower, we've got canopy, and we've got terrace. I think that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Commissioners, questions?
I have a couple questions. So what's the deal with the stairs? They're for access to the amenity deck?
Yeah, my thinking is that that'll be the main entrance to the restaurant. You know, that the rest, so as we've done research, I had to learn all about hotels as somebody who's not a hotel guy. Once you incur the capital cost of a kitchen for the required, the brand requirements, the brand's gonna make you have a breakfast, lunch, and a breakfast, dinner, and a hot lunch option or something like that. Once you build a kitchen for that, there's no reason not to attract people from outside the hotel. That being a destination makes all the sense in the world. It costs a little more from an operating standpoint, but it should also generate more operating revenue. And so I want that restaurant to have its own independent identity, and giving it its own entrance helps with that. And so there's an ADA entrance through the hotel. You can certainly come in you can valet at the front, use the elevator, go up to the pavilion level to the restaurant. But I think it has value to give it its own.
So the first level underneath that deck is not part of the restaurant.
Correct. Yeah, if you want to see that, I've got floor plans. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I get it. I just,
No, I-
it seems odd, so I'm just trying to figure out like why.
Oh, it's not here. Okay. Well, the lower level of the pavilion has rooms facing Taylor, guest room.
Okay.
And then on the other side of the building, facing into the tower, is just back of the house space, the fitness center, laundry, kitchen are on the lower level. And there's a pantry on the second level to serve that upper level restaurant. It's logistically a little complicated. But seemed like the best way to get done what we want to get done.
Okay. The other question, I just want to confirm that the variance is necessary for the curb cut to create that front vehicle access. You've gotten those through with the form-based code.
The, all variances we needed, there was the curb cut.
Mhm.
There was one for materials because neither ephes nor curtain wall glass is an approved primary facade structure,
Right.
primary facade material. And the use. Hotel is not a permitted use. Those were all approved by the Board of Adjustment in September.
Okay, thank you. So,
Cheers.
You have a flag for this hotel yet? Do you have a brand?
No, it's modeled around, I mean, we had to understand what was possible in order to know whether there's a deal here or not. You know, it doesn't make any sense to design a project that doesn't make economic sense. So it was designed as a major chain soft brand. But I'm talking to people now who would do what they call a lifestyle extended stay. I'm talking to people who would do a completely independent hotel. We don't really know until someone steps up and says, let's do it.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, what goes into the original building? Is that a meeting space?
We don't have meeting space. We were advised that we're parking challenged and that adding meeting space just makes you more parking challenged. So you enter on the lower level of the pavilion, that's reception at the front. To the left behind reception is the hotel offices and some luggage cart storage and things like that. There's a staircase at the right side of the lobby that runs up to the second floor, big grand staircase with floating treads kind of thing, that goes up to the upper level. And then the west side of the lower level is all guest rooms.
Oh,
And then as you go back, so as you exit the lobby going south, there's a corridor that leads over to the elevators that are actually in the tower. The tower elevators serve both buildings. And then the rest of that building is the public restrooms, employee locker rooms,
Gotcha.
laundry, kitchen, back of the house stuff. The upper level has some guest rooms on the east side, restaurant lounge space on the west side.
Yeah.
Running down the whole side. And then there's some restrooms up there also for the restaurant and the terrace, et cetera.
Further questions, commissioners? Thanks, Jim. Alderman Brown, you want to be next?
Sorry, it's a little messy up here. It's all yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alderman Michael Browning. I'm the Alderman of the 9th Ward where this is located. I'll be brief. We've had several proposals for this site, none that have really worked out over the years. It's been a difficult one to do because of the buildings that are there and their adaptability. When we saw this proposal for the first time and started circulating it among the neighborhood groups, we saw a lot of support for it just simply because people have seen the history here and believe that this is the best proposal that we have seen yet. The concern that exists around the replacement of the walls with glass, I think, is one of the more difficult things to think about because of the historic nature of that. But I think we do need to consider that some mid-century design really did not acknowledge the benefit of natural light and often would go for those, as Mr. Winzerling described it, as like kind of gun slit windows. We think that the opening up of that and having the windows is going to be actually a really wonderful look for the area. And as to the tower itself, we believe that, you know, the design there is really thoughtful, add something unique to the corridor there. And also going to note that there is something that's kind of like missing from that image right there, and that is the Jackson Arms building, which is right next to it. which is actually gonna be a little bit taller than the tower building that is being proposed here, so it's not gonna look at all out of place either. There's also the Wendell Terrace building right across the street, catty corner across the intersection that is gonna be taller as well. So we think this is gonna fit really nicely with that whole street design. And again, just want to repeat that we think this is the best use of this property that we've seen proposed so far. The Central West End Development Committee met and recommended approval for this project. I think you'll also hear from some other neighborhood people in support of this project, but just wanted to offer my personal support and ask if the board has any questions.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Jim Dwyer,
Yes, sir. Here I am.
hello, Mr. Dwyer.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Are you going to swear me in or shall I just begin my testimony?
It is a preliminary review, just begin, and of course, I'm sure you always tell the truth.
Yes. So I'll begin. Thank you for this opportunity to weigh in on this important project. My statement reads as follows. Chairman Callow and members of the board, it is with considerable pleasure that I appear today to recommend approval of the proposed redevelopment plan for this important property. It is reassuring to know that patience has been rewarded and that the challenges associated with redevelopment of this site have finally been addressed in a promising manner. While the committee, that's the CWE Planning and Development Committee, acknowledges the concerns expressed by the Cultural Resources Office in its presentation, particularly regarding the proposed replacement of the original exterior walls on the north and west elevations of the pavilion structure and their replacement with glass, we have concluded that the finned colonnade is the dominant distinguishing feature of the structure and that its retention will serve to preserve the spirit of the building while allowing alterations required for its intended use as a hotel. While imperfect, it is our conclusion that the benefits to the community of the proposed redevelopment outweigh the argument for strict preservation in this instance, and that the proposed design represents an acceptable compromise to facilitate the adaptive reuse of this building. We remain concerned about potential traffic issues resulting from the proposed introduction of a new curb cut on Taylor Avenue that's shown in the middle of the rendering that is before you, middle left, immediately south of the Lindell Boulevard intersection. And we encourage the developer to further consider providing vehicular access from Lindell instead. What we're concerned about is that that's a point of ingress only. And what we're imagining is that cars will be headed southbound on Taylor, intending to turn left across the northbound lane to enter the hotel property, thereby stacking cars up into the intersection of Lindell. And we do not have a specific proposal about how to address the issue successfully by coming in from Lindell, but we believe it's possible, and we think it is something that that investigation of should be required. So in conclusion, the committee recommends favorable action on this appeal, subject to final review and approval by Cultural Resources Office of permit drawings and specifications. And I want to take just another minute, if I may, to extend compliments and appreciation to the Cultural Resources Office staff for their consistent application of the CWE Historic District standards and diligent efforts to preserve and enhance the district. We thank you for that. And that concludes my testimony.
Thank you, sir. The clarification, Commissioner, this is not an appeal. Nathan Jackson.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Nathan Jackson. I'm the owner and founder of the Facebook page and tour company St. Louis History and Architecture, and I work as an architectural historian. So the entire stretch of Wendell Boulevard between Kings Highway and Vandeventure has undergone several changes throughout the years. As you can see down the stretch, you have a combined streetscape of buildings starting around 1888 and going all the way up through the 20th century. And adding a new building in place of the 1978 addition would not significantly alter the streetscape in a way that it hadn't already been altered due to construction of other buildings during the mid-century. The only concern that I would have is the eligibility to the National Register for the main pavilion building, because from the proposal with like removing the walls and the glass and things like that, it appears that this building would no longer be eligible for the National Register. And for me, that raises some concern. So overall, I would think that at least part of the proposal is good, but it should probably go back to the drawing board to consider ways in which the National Register eligibility could be retained.
Thank you. Greg Loudon.
Yeah, hi, Greg Loddick. I live at the intersection of Maryland and Taylor, and would like to thank everyone for attending this meeting. And I would like to thank the developer for bringing this proposal forward. As a resident lives just a block away from this, I've been continually concerned about, the vacant path that this building has been on, and I'm excited to see a really nice proposal brought forward. And I would love to see it come to fruition, and appreciate all the voices of support for it, and just want to give my my support for it as well.
Very much. Cheryl Brand.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm Cheryl Brand. I'm the Executive Director at Optimus International. So I would be considered the owner of this building. And I am just very excited to support this design and this project. Let me assure you that the state that the building is in today is the best it will be under our ownership. It will continue to decline. This building was built to accommodate these two buildings, to accommodate over 80 staff members. We now have 20 in this building. And on most days, that is actually just a handful. So the fact that most people think this building is vacant actually is fairly accurate. As this becomes more and more expensive for us to maintain, and I can assure you, we have now gone 2 summers without air conditioning in the pavilion because we cannot afford the $50,000 it would take to put a new chiller in the back, and that is only the cost of the equipment, not the installation. We will be looking at options to potentially even vacate the entire building. So we are running out of options for how we can move forward to keep this building operating as it is. And I am concerned about leaving a vacant building on this incredibly prestigious drive in St. Louis at a location that will be seen. We have received numerous calls from concerned citizens at different times because of things that have happened around the building from people who have come into the neighborhood. We always take action when we get those calls to try to resolve those as quickly as possible. But the more people who think this building is vacant, the more we're going to see those types of situations occur. So I would encourage you to please consider this opportunity.
Thank you.
I can ask you a question. Sure. This is trying to here, but is there actually a contract on the building now to buy it?
Yes, there is currently a contract.
Commissioners, this concludes the testimony.
We have one more, sir. So we have one more. Hank Weber wants to speak.
This better be about this project. This shouldn't be that 50-minute presentation you were going to give me earlier.
No, it's about this project. I've been moved by this proposal.
Go ahead.
My name's Hank Weber, a 16-year resident of the Central West End. I am a confirmed historic preservationist. We've renovated a historic house in the Central West End with the enthusiastic support of the CRO and their commission. I renovated 1 million square feet on the Danforth campus in my 15 years as the chief operating officer at Washington University. And I've been by this site, I just estimated, about 3,000 times. And fundamentally, I support this. I support it for 2 reasons. First is, I think that 3 reasons. First, I think that we face a real threat. This building has not been an asset to the Central West End, even under Optimus ownership for recent years. As they noted, they have 20 employees on this site. This is not adding to neighborhood vitality. It's not adding to activity. Second, while I'm very cognizant of the issues being raised in this mid-century modern vernacular, I think if this proposal came to this group or came to the city now, it would be told, the original proposal on the pavilion, I think you would be told, come give windows. The benefits of natural light are too great. No one would view this as a positive thing to have almost no windows in this building. I think it would be turned down very quickly. So I think we need to respect the past, but we need to also recognize how we live. And third, I think what we're getting out of this is a new building, which is of the scale of Lindell. I mean, my view is that the real thing we want in Lindell is mid to lower high-rise buildings. That's what it characterizes it. And it's been done successfully in new buildings. I don't know anybody who doesn't think 4545 Lindell is an asset to the Central West End and an asset to St. Louis. And this building, I think, will fit in very nicely. It will actually give us more development on the site. Thank you for your testimony. Glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Okay, commissioners, that probably concludes the testimony on this subject. Please make sure. Commissioner, a motion.
I move that the Preservation Board grant preliminary approval of the proposed demolitions and alterations.
Second. For discussion, we go to call on that. And building permit.
Sure.
Second. Discussion. Commissioner Richardson?
Well, I would add some further conditions to it, considering that it was basically granting a variance to the Preservation Review District standards because it doesn't meet most of them, and we're doing this because of neighborhood effect and reuse potential. So I would maybe add, we're going to prove it that no demo permit or permit for alteration to be granted until they applied for, paid for a building permit, until they closed on the property, until they close on their financing, and until they have a hotel franchise agreement or other evidence of a hotel operator for the project.
Sounds good to me.
I don't know that I like the very last part about hotel franchise. I'll second it. And I've already seconded. Oh, is that true?
Well, I threw that in there because again, it's going to be a hotel, and you know, I think it makes sense that it needs to get an operating permit, right? So a franchisee, or if it's an independent.
Let me bring the developer back up.
Yes, it's not a motion on the floor.
I defer.
Yes.
Mr. Winslow, will you build this? Will you start construction prior to having any franchise
The only scenario would be under, the only scenario where we wouldn't have a franchise agreement is, as David mentioned. Commissioner Richardson mentioned, if we had an independent operation. So in that case, it would be an operating agreement. So nothing he's asking for would be sideways with us. We're not closing without a deal. We're gonna tee the whole thing up and close.
Okay. Thank you. I second.
As
As condition.
Okay. I'm told. We got a motion and a second. We now need a motion to amend that motion. Your way. Will give such a motion.
can I do it on my own? Yes, okay, I motion to amend my original motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do I need a roll call? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We get. Ryan.
I've got enough ayes.
Okay, great.
So, the amended motion, Catherine or David? You would state the amended motion.
The amended motion is that the preservation board grant preliminary approval of proposed demolitions and alterations, subject to the applicant, or subject to no build demo permit or permit for alterations being granted unless and until the applicant has closed on the property, has closed on the financing necessary to redevelop the property, has applied for and paid for a building permit, and has a hotel franchise agreement or other evidence of a hotel operator for the project.
Great, right, the motion?
That is the motion.
I mean,
That is the motion I'm seconding.
Is there any discussion?
I think with those conditions, it's satisfied. We get to where we can be. With the ordinance.
Agreed.
Hotels, 2024, who knows?
That's not up for us to decide.
It is not. Okay, commissioners, hearing no further discussion, I'm going to call a roll. Commissioner Hammaker, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Ryan, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. There are 6 yeses, no nos, motion carries. Okay, agenda item B.
Okay, that is with staff. This is property at 6200 Forsyth Boulevard. It's in a PRD. It's for the demolition of the mid-century modern church you see before you for construction of a new building for WashU. So this is the property in question.
Where's Hank Ruggill when we need him?
And he slept down. Some context for you. It's right across from Forest Park. Looking west on the upper right, you can see looking down Forsyth. It's right adjacent to the campus to the south. Long row of buildings for the Forsyth School, which you all have a letter of support, by the way, from, as well as a letter of support from Alderman Clark Hubbard for the project. For the site. Some context at the street level, it's looking north on Skinker. The church is this 1 story in question. It's an existing church to the south. And here's the site along Forest Park. And looking south on Skinker, here is the church in question. It has a service parking lot at the corner that service the former church. And then looking from the park west down Forsyth, and this is the church in question. This is the proposal. I don't want to get too deep into the proposal. I'll show you the stuff. They have a detailed presentation later, but I'll run through some quick slides here. This is the proposed site plan. Lines with the building on Forsyth. You see the massing of the building. This is the existing building. It was constructed in 1956 by a
was a prominent local architect, very prolific architect, Marcel Boulico. I'm sure I probably just trashed that last name, but in my St. Louis French, we're gonna say it's Marcel Boulico. I'm sure it might be different with other folks, but pretty prolific local architect. Most notably, he did the fire station building, was known historically up on Jefferson. That's his big piece of work that we recognize. It's also part of our mid-century modern building, but this one we've determined that it's a very nice example of MCM architecture. Even though he is prominent, we feel it's a very subdued MCM structure. It's a fine building, but overall, what's being proposed is a much it exceeds what we're losing. Staff please. This is the proposed building looking from Skinker to the southwest. Want to note the building material is terracotta and brick, so it's high quality materials, fits well with the site and the adjacent historic buildings. Just looking northwest from Skinker. I want to say also in the outset, this has been around for a while, this review. Jan and Meg, my predecessor, worked with them, the design team to kind of craft design to be to fit the site better. They were wonderful to work with. So this is kind of an evolution of design that staff saw previously. This is looking from Forsyth. It's the entrance to the building. Going to the ordinance, we believe that really it complies with the majority of the PRD ordinance. The only thing that really it does not comply with would be zoning. This area is proposed to what's called a CUP or a community unit plan. WashU has a CUP for their site, and this will eventually be part of that CUP that is part of the university site. And speaking with zoning, they felt that since that's a pretty large overlay zoning, that this step should come first, make sure they're okay with the demolition. That will be seen later on down the line. So this building though would comply with that overlay zoning. So right now it does not comply. The plan is to amend the CUP to incorporate this site. Beyond that, it is also a sound structure under the ordinance. You were all given a copy of a condition report from the applicant. It has some flooding issues. There's some outdated issues with its services and its systems. But overall, it's a sound building. But we believe that it fits the site well. Again, we do contend that the loss of the building is exceeded by what's going to be built on the site. So staff recommends preliminary approval of the demolition and the construction subject to a permit being pulled and issued. So any questions for me? Yep.
The applicant present?
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'm Jeff Ryan, Design Principal with Christner Architects. Happy to be here.
What would you like us to do?
Well, I can, Bob has done a great job so far. So I can, I'll step you through a few slides, and if you have questions, I'll answer them. Sound good? Okay. Okay, so we've talked about the site. I think everyone understands where the site is, the corner of Forsyth and Skinker, across from the park and facing the university. We understand the sensitivity around Marcel Boulico's project here. We do understand that in the mid-century modern survey, this project was passed over as a notable building. I just want to put that understanding out there, that we know that lots of buildings were recognized, but this building was not part of that survey. So on the project, we're going to share consolidated property with the property at 6214 Forsyth. WashU calls us the Tech Den. We're not changing the use or altering that building at all. There's one thing we do have to do. There is a brick archway over the drive that is very limiting. It's very low. We can't get an emergency vehicle underneath it. We can't get any kind of a large vehicle at all. So we have to remove that from the project next to the Tech Den. But we're not changing use or occupancy of that. Our project is proposing to demolish the Unity Church that's on the site. This project will have administrative and student space in it, essentially, office space and some meeting and conferencing rooms. There's also a courtyard between the tech den and the new building that will be used both informally during lunch or during the day. People can work out there, students can work out there, and also occasionally have small events in the courtyard. When we designed this project, we really wanted to fully appreciate and understand how important Skinker Boulevard is to the city. That is the edge to the park. And as an edge to the park, both defines the park, but also becomes kind of a window into the fabric of the architecture of the city. So this plan, which looks along Skinker, acknowledges that there are several different kind of zones along the park. So there's single-family residential, high-rise residential, multifamily residential in the Demont area. Again, single-family residential, and then there's a whole institutional zone along the park, and we are kind of squarely in the middle of that. So there's several churches, there's Missouri Historical Society, there's Washington University, and our building sits among those. So really understanding that full context is really important. Our building also turns the corner, and on the backside, the west side, which is planned north in the planned up in this, it also is residential. So our building is trying to ground itself in the institutional buildings along Skinker, but also starting to acknowledge the presence of the residential scale and material palette to the west of it. So these are some photographs of the buildings that this building will sit amongst. So you can see the Missouri Historical Society, the Memorial Presbyterian Church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which will be right next to us, and then, of course, Bixby Hall and the Washington projects along Skinker. We really wanted to do 4 things in terms of how this responds to the city. First of all, we wanted to create institutional stature to the building. This is an important 100-year building for WashU. We wanted to make sure it has the stature of an institutional building, but also we wanted to bring the scale down. We noticed in several of the buildings, the Presbyterian Church, for instance, it's got a significant presence, but also when you get close to it, there's detail in it that's rich and inviting and humane and welcoming. We wanted to do the same thing. We also really wanted the building to be of its own time while relating to buildings that preceded it. So really wanted to be of its context. And that kind of is both material quality and appearance, but also this is a highly sustainable building, and the building is largely responding to some environmental pressures on the building. So we want it to be of its time in that it's responding to the environment in a very serious and responsible way. And then finally, we really wanted it to become an asset on Skinker to continue that kind of institutional edge to Skinker that makes it vibrant and gives St. Louis character. So these are a couple renderings kind of from the corner, from the looking south, southwest. And one of the things we did in terms of the fenestration is we were very thoughtful about putting glass where it really needs to be. And that's the major kind of meeting and event, lounge and event space. And then in there's lots of small kind of meeting rooms and teaming rooms in here, and those get smaller windows. We've also, there's a carving that's going on in the building, which relates to solar orientation. So this building has a prominent facade to the east, but as you know, windows to the east are difficult to manage from an energy point of view. So the building actually carves into the skin of the building and rotates those windows slightly to the north, greatly improving the energy performance of the building, but also improving the quality of light that comes into the building. As Bob mentioned, the palette is terracotta, which has historically been used quite a lot in St. Louis. It is a clay product like bricks, so it relates naturally to the brick palette that you see in St. Louis. But also just down Skinker, there's several of the high-rise buildings have terracotta at the base. And what's remarkable about terracotta is when you go look at those bases of those buildings, they look as if they're 10 years old. So terracotta performs extremely well. It's very durable, and we think it's an appropriate material that can respond to the limestone and brick and in coloration and in kind of substance on Skinker, but will last a long time. We're also using brick. There's a one-story piece. And I think we're also using brick. I'm going to go back just for a second to explain something here. There's a one-story piece that relates to the scale of the former residents on our property and the other residences. It's that kind of tail that comes around. That's a brick piece, and we're using iron spot brick. And you're going to see in a bit, we've got some details that both show a sense of care with the use of brick. That's not just a developer brick, but institutional quality detailing of the brick, and also harkens back to the original building that had a brick screen in front of it. So this is kind of a blow up of a detail of that eastern facade, transitioning from the terracotta, it's a scallop terracotta. And then when we cut into the building, we carve into it, it turns into an accent terracotta. And this is made up of several different glazed terracotta pieces that are made into a kind of a mosaic that fades towards the kind of orange brown color of the brick. And then you can see in the brick, we have the way it's coursed kind of is harkens to the overall strategy of the fenestration of the building, which the bricks are kind of angled into the facade. At the edge, we have to retain some earth. We have a brick retaining wall. You can see it. There'll be some signage there, and there'll be a planting bed along the edge of the building. This is the view looking towards the northwest, and you can see where we have a larger conference room. We've got some corner windows, and then there's a service entry on the backside of this. Just kind of a close-up of some of the brick detailing, the coursework. This is kind of swinging around. We're inside the site. There will be on the site there'll be a drop-off here, and this is kind of the drop-off entry. It's a secondary entry to the building, but you can see the one-story brick volume sliding out from underneath the three-story building. Some more views of the detailing of the brick. There'll be a really lovely garden in the middle of this with a bosque of trees. And then this is really where most people will enter the building. They're going to be coming from the campus. So the whole entry is oriented back towards the university, and the front of the facade is angled back to the university, mostly for two reasons. One is to improve the solar orientation of that facade, so you can really have really nice clear glass and not be penalized with solar heat gain. But also the people in those rooms will have a view right back to Brookings Hall in the greater university. There's a canopy that welcomes you to the building, but also softly contains the courtyard behind it, and pulls you into the front entry. And that's all I've got to show you. Are there any questions?
Commissioners, questions?
One question, the logic behind putting the pedestrian path this way, to kind of angle, I'm sorry, to angle
The facade?
west, towards, actually angles pedestrians away from the crosswalk. So I'm just curious about the thought on that, right? Because this is angling them further from the Lindell side.
Right. So people are not coming from the park. They are coming from the university. So the majority of people are actually coming from the west.
Okay.
But not a majority,
Crossing
99% of the people coming to this building are coming from the west. And the university wants them to park at the university, not in the park.
And then getting over Forsyth, I guess that's my question. I'm thinking like, if I was going from WashU to across the street, I'd walk up to Lindell to take that crosswalk. You're saying they would cross Forsyth elsewhere?
Well, there's right in place as a crosswalk.
Okay.
So if you know where the new parking garage is, there's a crosswalk right there with the light.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, just wondering, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? Hey, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Joanna Shooter?
With the university, getting questions from the university itself, Joanna represents the university, getting questions for her.
Questions for the university? Catherine? Is there anybody online?
What did I see?
Okay, Commissioner Secretary, please pass the morning on agenda item B, for your motion.
Move that the Preservation Board grant preliminary approval for demolition of 6200 Forsyth Boulevard, subject to a building permit application for the proposed building being submitted and issued. Second.
It's okay.
Any discussion, commissioners?
I didn't know you could still get terracotta.
Okay, motion on the floor of the fourth, on agenda item B, I'm gonna call a roll. Commissioner Hammaker, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Killeen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Narayan, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, there are 5 yeses. And the motion carries. I don't have anybody on my sheet for agenda item C.
In the grid.
I have it here.
No, Max is online. The architect is online. Max, are you awake?
Yep, I'm here.
Max, yeah, Max. Your architect is online.
Commissioner, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
All right, sorry, Max, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Back to bed.
Yes. Yes.
Right now. So. Yeah, so don't you're gonna go the other one now. Normally. Yeah.
I do remember thinking sex buses. It's not like an idea inside of us all that.
Send you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like. Exciting. You see that map? It's like TV. Circle around. Circle around. I'm sitting there laughing in the back. This is the, like, who could care about this one?
I'd say visual saves the following.
I'll watch it. Yes. His name's Paul. Not like an inspiration. I want to root for that story. That was site of being.
So the car.
Well, I mean, take a look. I didn't know that that's after.
Right.
I get conditions last year.
There you go.
If you haven't picked your house here yet, you think about something like that.
Okay.
not go in shorter red tape.
He's gonna pick a cat because he really likes to turn stupid.
That's good.
So we're just embracing it.
So early in the evening, he'll probably ditch them and you'll be carrying them because you'll realize it's better to carry the bag.
Exactly. I predict he may only be around 30 pounds. We'll see. We'll see. It's also a great costume for day here. It's just like, you know, I just felt like a white jumpsuit and sewed patches onto it, so you can just go over your clothes.
Yeah, one thing I want. On my street, it's not in the back door.
Oh, boy. You do.
Yeah.
So they're just piling down. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Work out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I went.
Sorry, what?
So the police like. I want to go lunch together. Yeah, all the, just how lovely the infrastructure improvements are. Where they've taken away the cobblestone brick and put in the street, but they left like sort of a little line of the cobblestone, a little line of the brick. In a way that I think like really does a good job honoring it, but makes it.
All right.
Okay. We're back. We're back.
Back.
You know, first.
You all set? Max, all right, Max is there, okay. So this is our last prelim of the evening. This is for 2141 Oregon Avenue. This is in the Fox Park Local Historic District. The issue is this, the applicants wish to construct a one-story frame addition to this side of the building. By the ordinance, this side is defined as semi-public because there's more than 15 feet. The ordinance says outright, you cannot do additions to that side of the building. So that's the nuts and bolts of why the design and the proposal is not compliant with the Fox Park standards, okay? That being said,
Say that the last sentence again.
that is the location of the proposed addition is the crux of why it is not compliant with the Fox Park Local Historic District. Thank you. I know I talk fast, I apologize. Always yell at me to slow down. I have no problem slowing down. Okay, that being said, the architect has been working with staff and the neighborhood to craft a proposal that we feel is at least compatible with the site and the building. And we'll get to that in a second. So I just wanted you to have that background. Here's the site. Also should note there used to be a house here. It was demolished a long, long time ago. That's why you see this kind of a party wall. There used to be a building here. I'll show you. And the alley was narrowed, maybe, or, I'm sorry, flying through it. So here's the location. We're just to the east of the Compton Heights Local District, which is Nebraska's the dividing line. And we're here at the alley on the west side of Oregon, south of Russell. And here's an aerial shot showing the parcel. Here's the view from the street. Again, you'll see a shot showing the proposal of this area. And it's the alley looking towards the street. This window right here, you can see it. This is actually it's one of these two. It was actually a door at one time. Historically, there was a porch back here when there was a building that was placed here. So there was actually a porch and there's a door at the side. So when the design came in, we suggested they try to find an example of an existing frame porch as a basis for the design. And driving around the area, they went next door to Compton Heights and they found, you know, there are some precedents for having one-story side porches. And this is one, even though it's a grand, high-style building, the concept idea of having this is, you know, it's out there. I mentioned before, this is the 09 Sanborn. This shows you the building. It was there. So, yeah, there's the cutout you see. But this was a long time demolished. Kind of cool. So this is the site plan, the proposed addition. See, it'll come off where the building sets back, comes out about 11 feet, and goes back, near the rear of the property. This is the view from the street looking back. In terms of we kind of like minimize some of the really high style elements you see on the side porch. Ask for better materials, kind of tweak things like adding a lattice screen and a frame at the bottom, which you would see a lot of times. Given that odd slope that's there, having this is a heavy masonry foundation would look a little different, and faces to porches like this would often have a lattice screen. But overall, fenestration lines up with the first floor. Notice setback quite soon. And this is the south elevation showing more of the design. There's a rendering showing what's proposed and existing. You did receive a letter from Fox Park, who does support the request for variance, given a few conditions. They want to make sure the southeast facades will be detailed in the same materials and configuration regardless of the proposed fence condition. I guess the concern here is that, you know, the fence is blocking the lower portion of the addition. So they would like to see the screen, the lattice screen carried over to this side as well. They want to make sure that CRO does the usual detailing to ensure compliance. That would be in your motion. If you do, choose to approve it, you can of course stipulate that you work with CRO on the finer details. They want to make sure that the windows in the front are compliant with the, section 203 of their ordinance, having simple double hung windows. I was unaware, and Max maybe can elaborate on this. There was a possibly having like really large double hung windows here, Max. We can probably get into that in a minute, but they just want to have just standard simple double hung windows along here. And then also they mentioned the lattice we've discussed before. So staff, again, we're recommending that you uphold it, or you do not grant approval, given the location is very specific in the ordinance. Not able to doubt they ever professed in the design.
Would you call this hard?
That's such a weird thing. I mean, denial is a denial. I don't like to use that term in all honesty. I think I've given you the background of what we try to do to get the design to a certain spot.
Yes, sir.
Can I just clarify, just for the
Sure.
record again? The design does comply with the historic district standards. It is simply the idea that there are no allowable additions on a semi-public facade. That makes it not comply.
Correct. I mean, essentially, the idea of a model example would be what you would do if it were allowed. So they're basing their design on a model example if it were an allowable addition on the side.
And the model example could be from another historic district.
It can be any place in the city.
Okay.
As long as it meets that time.
Did you explore a flat roof like this?
Honestly, no, has not been, we've talked about that level of detail. I mean, you can ask the architect about the flat roof on that. I know that if you attach the building in that manner and that long stretch, they might want to try and keep water from pooling on there perhaps. But maybe Max can it's a little more about why they chose to do a slope roof.
The model example, was that the model example you showed in that big mansion?
They did. Yeah, but again, and I always like to say this, the model example was based on a model example. It's not replicating a model example. So sure, I understand that this example has a flat roof. I think they're trying to just do a little more design to maybe keep water off it, but I know what you're saying. That example does have a flat roof, yes.
Thank you.
Well,
I
can tell us the roof is shed. Right. It's more of a, it's a hip. Look on the upper left, or right. Oh, you're right.
Like devil's advocate.
Sure.
I mean, what would a reason for a variance be?
I think the site is unusual. I mean, you have a site that you should have a house on it. There may not be space to construct an addition off the rear of the property. I think the Max could probably get more into the why they need this spot in particular. I think in looking for a reason, I don't want to detail every single reason why they could do it. That's their argument to make, but it's an unusual condition of the site. Again, there used to be a house there. Now we have a
Has the size of the public right of way, the alley changed? Hypothetically, could one rebuild that house that was there on that site, or would it no longer fit?
I have no idea. I don't want to say it. I don't know. I don't know. It does look like the site's been kind of
Feels
cut
narrow.
off. It
Okay.
does feel narrow. So it's potentially widened that alley at some point in time when they were, started to introduce dumpsters and whatnot.
So this is only a semi-public facade because it's a side elevation. A side yard at least 15 feet wide, which I guess you're saying is visually dominant from a street.
It is both those things. It's 15 feet wide plus, and it is dominant. When you drive up that, you do see that entire sign. So
You want to see a site plan? Further questions? Okay, let's hear from the applicant, please.
Everyone, my name is Max Bemberg. I'm the architect. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for meeting with me this evening and for your time. Sorry I could not be there in person. We got a couple sick kids at home and didn't want to spread all that around to everybody there. But I'm here tonight representing the owners, Taylor and Katie Sebis, who have been living there for about 9 years. And as Bob mentioned, there used to be a house on the adjacent site. They have some cool photos the clients do of the tornado that came through that actually knocked down that house that was on the alley. So anyway, they have one child and a second one on the way. And so on their ground floor, they were looking to just expand off of their kitchen, again, in this side yard area, because they cannot expand towards the back, towards the alley. There's a detached carport back there, and they wouldn't be able to expand into that space between the detached carport and the house. So they're looking to expand on just the first floor and not the second floor. They have enough bedrooms on the second floor, but with a second kid coming, they're hoping to stay in the neighborhood and stay in the city. Very proud, happy city residents, and they just want to have more space for kids to play and kind of expand off of the kitchen. So that's why we did this addition towards the back. Understanding that in the Fox Park guidelines, as Bob mentioned, being that it is a public facade, we're trying to set it back as far as we can so that while it is still visible from the sidewalk and from the right-of-way, and the south facade that's facing the alley is also a semi-public facade would be visible, trying to do our best to, find a model example, which was also very difficult, trying to find a similar model example in this neighborhood, or frankly in other neighborhoods in the city that wasn't too ornate or didn't was kind of a similar proportion or similar kind of aesthetic to what the clients were looking for. And so the model example that we found on Hawthorne, which is about less than a half a mile away to the west in Compton Heights, seemed to check many of the boxes they were looking for. So it's about a 300 square foot single story box. And as Bob mentioned, we're going to go with wood windows that will be double hung, and whether they're mold windows like we're showing with the larger openings, or we need to divide those proportions up a little bit to make them, as Fox Park, Jay Reeves, who we've been talking with, make them a bit more proportional to the windows of the house. We can kind of divide those from units of 3 to units of 2, if that helps to simplify that and drive that proportion home. With raised wood panels beneath the windows. And Mike, Colleen, to your point earlier about the roof slope, it is a very low slope hip roof, but we could lower that, to more of a flat roof, and then crick it around where the water could potentially pool up in the building just to drive it away. But the clients were just interested in tried and sure this is a 312 pitch hip. So we could use asphalt shingles to kind of match the there's asphalt shingles on the roof that's on the main structure, that would be something just to, since we're already using asphalt shingles on the existing structure, pick those up there as a more cost-effective material. Yeah, I think that is basically it. The main contention, as Bob mentioned, is just that it's located in this public-facing facade. And that's what we're trying to do our best to work with Fox Park and CRO to find a design that is, you know, fits in with the neighborhood and checks all the boxes that the clients are looking for. So happy to answer any questions.
Looks like we have approval from the neighborhood. Do we have any Alderman?
We do not.
Do not know.
But we don't have not, we're saying we heard nothing from the Alderman.
Correct. Do not have any correspondence from the elected official.
Further questions? Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bennett, anybody in the waiting room?
Let me check it. I'm getting some stuff.
Okay, position is a motion.
I move that the Preservation Board overturn the director's denial and allow the project to go forward with the stipulation that materials and details be worked out with CRO. Strong recommendation that go in the flat roof. I should have said that afterwards.
We got a variance for that?
Can I note something? It's a prelim. It's a prelim. It's not denied. It's a prelim.
Okay. So we don't have to talk about variances. We do. So, the variance is because of the odd nature of the site, and there was no place else to put this addition for modern. Who are flat roof?
How many seconds are they talking?
Right.
Better fix your motion.
Actually worked with his clients. I'm sure they look into that.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
We didn't have a question. We were just talking about it.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not going to accept that second, although I would love to.
Give a second. Hearing no second.
Oh, second, please.
Second, Richardson, discussion?
Does this, do we think, fellow board members, create any kind of precedent around being allowed to build on a semi-public facade when the code explicitly says no additions on semi-public facades?
Clearly.
I'm trying to figure out, is this a funky enough site that the variance here is narrow enough as to not allow other funky sites to do such a thing? I'm not sure.
I think I got comfortable with it because of your question. And it's a separate lot originally. And you could re-subdivide this to construct something, you're right, that you could attach to that building. And then it's not the addition. It's the construction. Good. So I'm getting comfortable.
Okay.
So the lot is too narrow and not meet zoning requirements.
Sound variances, no, that's true.
We could squeeze that house.
Possibly.
Who's on the board?
Part of the app.
So that part's possible.
What got me is the neighborhood is who wrote the
Yeah.
standards. They're like, but it should have a flat roof, right? And a parapet should be a little taller.
It should have a flat roof. This building has a flat roof. I think the design, it should have a flat roof.
And I agree with that. And I think that's why I think CRO should be continuing to work through the detailing of the applicant. For 2.5 commissioners now saying that they don't like that roof, it's a flat roof, maybe a parapet.
They're calling that parapet, you at least get a 212 backwards.
I think we'll get this roof worked out, guys.
Okay.
Did we mention the roof? So that we don't see a hip roof.
Max, we'll work that out.
Yep.
Oh, we're working on it. See?
Great.
The motion on the floor has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'm gonna call a roll. Commissioner Hamilton, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Trellini, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, there are 5 yeses. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
Okay, Commissioners, we move to a slightly different moment of the meeting. We will now hear appeals. The difference being that I will ask speakers to identify themselves and swear or affirm that you tell the truth. Now I ask both staff and appellates to introduce all portions of their presentations.
Do you have your sign sheet?
I do not have a sign.
The applicant is online, so I know that. Okay, Bob Bettis with staff. I swear to tell the truth. I'm going to enter into the record ordinances 64689 as submitted by 64925. That's the enabling ordinance. The Shaw ordinance, which is 59400. My staff report, my presentation. And it's it. Yeah. Okay, so we have 402628 Russell. That's in the Shaw Certified Local Historic District. The issue comes down to is retaining wall construction without a permit. As you can see, this is the current condition. I know we've reviewed these a lot over the years. Our office got a complaint from the Citizen Service Bureau, went out, determined that the wall was put up without a permit and of non-compliant materials. We sent a letter to the homeowner and they responded promptly. So they wish to appeal and come before you. They wanted to try and keep retaining. In terms of the ordinance itself, under walls, fences, and enclosures, we said the wall does not comply. It's built out of concrete units, which is not an approved material in the list above, and it also sits in front of the building line, which is also not allowed for new walls. So this is the site. Quickly, I'll show you just site. Excuse me, just in the middle of the block between Thurman and Lawrence. I will say, at street level, this block of Russell does have several retaining walls on it already. I've looked into them already. I didn't see any that were approved by us or received a variance. So these are walls that have been around for a long time or were put up and were not noticed over time. This is a detail of the current wall. Get the walls. They're 2 walls, right? They're 2 walls. We're calling a wall. They're 2 separate walls. But this is the current condition. Walls were constructed and they were landscaped. And this shows you the site previous and the current condition. You do have a letter of support from the Shaw Neighborhood Improvement Association. They are in support of the applicant's request for a variance. But staff recommends that the board uphold the denial of permit because the wall is not compliant with standards. Any questions for me?
Everyone's okay.
They are. There's been some spirited discussion, I will say, with the neighborhood. I'm going to go talk to the Shaw group in the coming months. They're having some discussions about how they want to address their own code. So I will note that there's discussions ongoing about how they're going to proceed in the future with their standards.
In any of the discussion that we have overheard or any discussions with the appellant, do you have any clue as to what the reason for the variance might be?
From the applicant himself, no. They just want to keep it because they put it up. They've expended the money to the project. I believe they said there also is it's a north-facing slope, so you hear that often where the north-facing slopes don't get enough sun, they can see sun. So yeah, there's several reasons why they support it. They also said there's several in the area already, so that's why I see it is okay with the wall itself.
So they go without a permit.
Correct.
Okay, let's hear from the appellant.
The applicant's here. Mr. Gerby?
Yes.
Hello, board members. This is Enoch Gerby. I been owning this property for more than, I believe, 12 years. Yeah, recently, yes,
Let me interrupt you 1 second. Is the testimony going to give the truth?
yeah, yes,
Okay, proceed.
okay. Yeah, hello, board members. I'm Enoch Gerby. I own this, and I and my wife own this property for more than 12 years. And as you can see, recently, we uh, we were approached by someone who has done this similar kind of job, and we went out and see the site, and then we like our house, and we just wanted to have a good appeal at the same time, keep water erosion stuff like that. So we went further and get the code, and we did it. So I know this is historical property. We have done everything according to the code. When we have this property, it was 2 units, so we turned it into 1 unit back then, and everything was done up to code. But it was completely my oversight that it needed additional permit for retaining wall. So we did make a mistake, and the stair was completely broken apart, and we needed to fix the stairs as well. So that's the same time we did everything together. So later on, here I am because we did some violations, so I came before you. The material we used for the property was based on the samples we saw in the area within 2 or 3 houses before to the north, no, to the west, and at the same time in the next block. So again, I apologize for that, but here I am. But the goal was just to make the place look nice, at the same time give it a good curb appeal. And it was quite large investment.
Does that conclude your testimony?
Yes.
Questions for the appellant? Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody in the waiting room?
No.
Okay, commissioners, that concludes testimony in this matter. So we hear a motion.
I move that the preservation board overturn the director's denial, given the neighborhood support and current consideration of their code.
Second,
Who seconded?
Narayan.
Discussion? Hearing none. Going to call a roll. Commissioner Hamilton, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Ryan, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair votes no. That is 4 yeses, 2 noes. Motion passed.
That right?
4 yeses, 2 noes. Yep. Okay.
Messed up.
You can tell him that the appeal was successful.
Mr. Gerby, you have your appeal. You got your appeal.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yeah, Bob Bettis with staff. I'll tell the truth. Do you have enough for your quorum? All set? Yes. Okay. Bob Bettis with staff. I'll tell the truth. Need to enter in ordinances 64689 as amended by 64925. Enabling ordinance, and then Sulars, which is 57078, submitted by 62382. And my staff report and my presentation. This proposal is at Elvin Barton. It's a parcel. It does not have a house on it. It is essentially a lot of landscaping. There's a gazebo on it. It is just empty piece of property. The owner lives on an adjacent street, but this is essentially a green space. The applicant wishes to put a chain link fence across this opening that you see right here. Now, currently, there is chain link fencing elsewhere around the site. But he can detail you the history of why it's empty right now, but he wishes to install a chain link fence across here, which is not compliant with the standards. This is a public facade because it's based on the street. So you cannot do chain link fencing at a public facade in the Soulard code. And that's why this is not compliant with the standards. So quickly here, here's the parcel. The owner lives kind of over in this way up here, up towards Wemley. This is bird's eye view of the site, and the fencing you see is down here, but the rest of it is already chain link. Another shot of the fence, shot of the site. There's context looking to the west, the site's right over here. And again, this is the site looking this way, looking to the east on Barton. So again, that being said, chain link fencing is not allowed at public facades. That's why it's not compliant. You were given a letter from the SRG's Historic Code and Zoning Compliance Committee, who did not support the request for a variance. So you do have that in record. We do not have anything from the elected official on the site. Any questions from you? Recommend that the board uphold the denial of the application.
Is that right next to the community garden now?
It is.
I always thought it was part of it.
That was our confusion as well, and that was clarified. As the gentleman came in this evening, I want to make sure it was, they're two separate.
Okay. Further questions?
Please,
Black metal. At 4 feet. 4 feet black metal.
So. But. Basically, there's a chain fence around the entire site set for that.
Correct. It's been there for a while. I mean, that chain link's been, well, there used to be a couple of, there was a compliant gate at one time, which I believe was stolen. We can tell you about that. There actually was a chain link fence at one time there, but it was also taken.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, let's hear from the appellant.
And in the record, some photographs of the site.
Hi, I'm Dave Lewis. I moved to Soulard 50 years ago, and about 25 years ago, I finally tracked down the owner of this lot and bought it with the intention of leveling it out so that.
I'm sorry, but before you get started too much, is your testimony going to be the truth?
Is it going to be what?
The truth.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I leveled out the lot where the garden is so that the water wouldn't pour down through the community garden, and then built these things to kind of improve the area. And while I did that, there was a fence around everything. You'll notice in the photographs that there's gates at the south end. Those were stolen, and I replaced it with antique iron fence that lasted a while, and it was stolen. And I put another fence up down there. It was stolen. So what I need to do is put something up that will keep people out. The police have recovered several stolen vehicles. And I don't want my property to be the neighborhood nuisance. But homeless people get in there and sleep at night, things like that. I just assumed they'd sleep elsewhere. But this is surrounded by 275 feet of chain link fence. It used to be 8 feet tall with barbed wire on top. We brought it down and painted it. And with the gates gone, that leaves just 21 feet to fill. I might mention that in the street beyond my property is where the community garden has 4 city dumpsters. And the neighbors have a roll-off cart or 2. And right next door is the compost and mulch bins. It's not really architecturally significant. Nobody lives across the street. There's no houses there. But across the street, there's 3 or 4 dumpsters that are constantly overflowing. So it's not an attractive part of the neighborhood, but it would be better if I could control it and keep stolen cars out of there and protect the material that's in there. I had plans to do more than I've done, and at this point, a lot of the materials that I've collected over the years is available to neighborhood residents. So I've still got to be able to get in there because the material is, you know, foundation stones, limestone windowsills, steps, brick, sidewalk brick, terracotta roofing, things like that. But trying to protect my stuff and make the neighborhood look better. But a compliant fence would look dumb there. Iron fence with vertical pickets. It would be completely out of place there when it's surrounded by chain link. And I'm not actually intending to keep the chain link forever, but I can't really embark on the fence building project I want. But I've collected enough antique fence posts to go around the whole garden. But I have to make the fence. And I can't do that and keep a job at the same time. So wanted to put up something relatively temporary until I can get to that or pass the garden on to someone. So we're just looking for his permission to put up 21 feet chain link fence, paint it black and repaint the fence that's there already. Well, as good as possible. That's it. Thank you.
Anybody have questions for the comment?
Yes, sir? Any question? How long would you want to keep this fence up?
I don't know. I work 40 hours plus. And I don't have time to do that, but I'm getting old enough, I may not be able to keep my job forever.
Yes.
Maybe 5 years.
And so in your testimony, you're saying without the fence, this is sort of a nuisance for the neighborhood, people go in there and park cars, what happens in there? It's not.
We find cars in there. And after they're there a day or so, I'll call the police and they'll come and the city will tow it out of there. I think in the last 5 years or so, they've gotten 6 cars and 2 motorcycles out of there. It's kind of like up at the other end, up at the west end of Lamai. It's an area that nobody can see it from their house unless they're making special effort to look. So stuff can go on there unsupervised, unpoliced.
So you put a 4-foot gate and you paint it black and you paint the rest of the chain link fence black?
Well, I painted it as dark a green as I can get and still tell it's green.
Okay.
And you're okay with 4 feet?
The fence along the east side is 5 feet high. The intention being that the whole thing be level all the way around the garden. And the fence on the east side, separating it from the community garden, is at the top of a wall that's 5 feet high in the highest place and down to 3 feet, so don't want anybody falling off the wall.
With the rest of the fence being 5 feet and the gate being 4 feet, would that bother you?
No, it'd be level. Maybe you can see in those photographs.
If we made the gate 4 feet and the rest of the fence is 5 feet, would you look at it and say, gosh, I've got to do something about that fence?
Well, the fence on the west side that you see in this picture, that's about 4 feet. And the land has about a 10-inch drop there, but I could level off that. The existing fence that's there, that's 5 feet tall, I can lower that down to 4 too, if that would help.
And anybody?
Whichever name. Or anybody else who speaks. Again, if anybody wants to speak on the item that's in the Zoom, please send your name and to send a request to speak here, Tyler.
I will speak the truth. Do I need to just? Okay.
Your name.
My name is Amanda Ramcharan.
Will you just want to give the truth?
Yes.
Proceed.
All right. Everyone, I'm Amanda, resident of Soulard. Also happen to be the president-elect of SRG. But today I'm just representing myself in support of Dave's request to install the chain link gate. I support his plan because it's a repair to the current fence surrounding his lot and is in alignment with what's already there. Installing an iron gate in the middle of the existing chain link fence would do nothing to preserve or enhance the neighborhood and only impose an undue financial burden on one of our working class residents. While it may technically be in compliance with the letter of the code, it violates its spirit. Dave's lot with a pond, pergola, and architectural salvage from his time working with Larry Giles is a quirky corner of the neighborhood and a nod to its historic character. In his 50 years in Soulard, Dave has contributed greatly to the preservation of the neighborhood. And a vote against this proposal sends the message that preservation is only for our wealthy residents and not for our neighbors who have dedicated their lives to making Soulard what it is today.
Okay, the Commissioner second for this testimony in this appeal.
Bob, just to clarify that last testimony was from a future resident or president of SRG. SRG is against this.
Correct. Well, that committee is that, yeah, that the
That
committee is.
particular committee is not recommending.
Correct.
That's the motion.
I move that the preservation board overturn the director's denial and allow the new change of gate.
Second.
Okay, so I think because there's an existing chain link fence around the property. And I would add to my motion. I think we've got an existing chain link fence already. Putting a gate that is different than what's there doesn't make sense. I think that the gate should be the same as the material that's already there. Should be painted the same color and should align with the top of the existing base. To align with the existing base, top of the existing base.
Is it a financial hardship?
No, I think given the predominance of existing material, that's the reason for allowing this here.
But as you mentioned, it's a very issue, they talked about the cars being down there. That's what it's.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Alderman, anything to say?
Nothing here.
Okay. Commissioners, there's a motion on the floor. It's been made and seconded. I'm going to call it roll. Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Ryan, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. There are 5 yeses. The motion carries. Commissioners.
You're all set.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Hearing no objection, we stand adjourned.